So I know how hard it is to find a doctor. That's why I use Zocdoc. Zocdoc is a free app where you can find amazing doctors and book appointments online. We're talking about booking appointments with thousands of top-rated, patient-reviewed doctors and specialists. You can filter specifically for ones who take your insurance, are located near you, and treat almost any condition under the sun. I use Zocdoc, and it makes taking care of my health so much easier, and I just frickin' adore it. Go to Zocdoc.com/BCC and download the Zocdoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/BCC. Zocdoc.com/BCC.
Welcome to The Chain.
We're your hosts of the BCC Club. My name is Kendahl.
And I'm Sarah Schauer. And today we are joined by...
I'm Hannah Anderson.
And...
My name is Mackenzie Fultz.
Mackenzie Fultz. Which podcast?
I'm like, could we say it in unison over Zoom? I don't think so. Let's try it. The Dating Detective.
That was incredible.
Nailed it.
Great.
Mackenzie is a PI and is joining us via Zoom. So if there's ever a confusing moment where you're like, why is Mackenzie taking 2 seconds to respond? Does she hate Kendahl and Sarah? No, she doesn't. She's just taking a minute to hear it for the lagging audio. But we're so excited to have you guys here today. They have a podcast called Dating Detectives that they said, and it is just fascinating. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about it?
Sure. Well, yes, Mackenzie is a private investigator, and I am a single comedian and armchair sleuth who just stalks everybody on Instagram.
Incredible.
Sleuths on Instagram. And Mackenzie has more stories than you would believe, but then we also get a lot of guests who, I don't know, tell us about the guests, Mackenzie.
So we have, so our podcast, The Dating Detectives, is just about like what we like to call dogfish, who I'm sure you've heard of the term catfish, which is, someone maybe using someone else's picture to lie to someone online about who they are. But the dogfish is what we coined the term to kind of describe someone who is lying about their life, or they've got like a secret life, or they are who they say they are in person, but they are just completely lying about something. Or we refer to them as like the con men, the liars, all of those type of
the cheaters ravaging the dating world.
Yes, it's truly fascinating. And Sarah and I were just on their podcast, and Mackenzie told one of the most insane stories I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So if you want to listen to that, head on over there.
Or if you have a story.
Yeah, or if you have a story, contact them. I didn't know PIs. I feel like an idiot. I don't think I really understood what a PI was. And now I feel like a whole world has opened up to me where I'm like, who can I call a PI on?
You just want someone to spam you.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even know if I have no one in my life who's done anything bad. I might just want some more information.
Yeah. I was imagining that Mackenzie was going to be sort of like a bounty hunter, like sort of looking, like Dog the Bounty Hunter. But no, you're just very pleasant, gorgeous. You just follow people and take photos, and
it's incredible.
You don't tackle anyone or arrest them.
No. Beautiful.
She just gets in, gets the dirt, gets the tea, and gets out.
Yeah. Exactly.
We think of our podcast as like true crime light. Like no one's getting murdered.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I mean, yeah. We don't want that. Not wishing that. But they are stories.
That's what people are going to think you were wishing that on everyone.
Wait, that's actually a great title for a podcast, like True Crime Live.
Light.
No, I know.
Oh,
she said but it'd be kind of cool to see live, because I mean, you could do the podcast from the car.
Yeah.
That would be like a
100% while on surveillance.
Yeah.
That's so
and
funny.
It's 8-hour podcast, and Mackenzie just another hour gone.
You
no
said
movement.
You did say because it reminds me of Only Murders in the Building. They're doing a podcast, so you're doing a podcast while you're recording someone, and I mean if you're in the car, you got a lot of time.
Maybe we should do a case.
Do
a whole series.
Yeah,
of a case.
do a car episode case.
Can I come? I want to come on surveillance. Right? Is that allowed? Could we come?
I mean.
No, because that would be considered unlicensed activity.
Okay.
So you got to get licensed. And then that opens up a whole new world for your viewers. That's what I'll say.
Wow. Exactly.
Yeah. Whole new meaning to commercial driver's license.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming today and calling in via Zoom. As always, we talk about a topic, and today we're talking about misandry.
Yes.
Do you know what misandry is? We'll explain it to you.
Yeah, it's the opposite of misogyny.
Yes. So we did actually do this episode once before, but I threatened some of the men we talked about, and YouTube took it down.
So we're back, baby,
So
and we're
this-
going to do it again.
This is Misandry BCC's version, you know?
I want to hear about
a Taylor Swift
the
joke.
initial threat, but
We Swifties? Okay.
yeah, we are.
Okay, but no, it is about Andrew Tate.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
And I don't want to say it because, again, get taken
It
down.
gets taken down
I
immediately
know.
again.
I was like, tell me exactly the thing that got you taken down
Yes,
right now.
I'll say it word for word. But so the reason why we wanted to redo this episode with you is because we just heard, I mean, we assumed that the PI stories would be some sort of like male craziness, you know, entitlement. And we wanted to talk about the other side of the pendulum, which is misandry. Do you guys are you guys misandrous casual users?
It's not in my day-to-day vocab. What about
Yeah.
you?
I've literally never used the word.
That's
I've heard it,
perfect.
but I've never used
I
it.
wasn't even
That's
sure if
good.
I was
That is
pronouncing it
perfect.
right, to be honest.
All right.
No, that's perfect. So basically, this is what it is for just a general for the viewers. Misandry, it's let me get down to it. Misandry is the hatred of, contempt for, or prejudice against men. I have it. I'll say it.
Yeah.
Some feminists use the term misandrist ironically to describe themselves. So yeah, it's just basically kind of, you know, men will use it to say, well, you can be sexist the other way too, and then you can be like, well, not really. So that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, so it's like how men say it's equally as bad as misogyny, where men have actual societal power and can like, you obviously know what men can do in the real world. And then if a woman is like, I want a guy who's like 6 foot tall, men are like, see, that's also
judging, yeah.
It's like, what's that saying? Like women's greatest fear is being killed by men, and men's greatest fear is being laughed at by women. So it's the power imbalance is very much there. But we were going to talk about it and specifically how it relates, like how the theme pops up in dating. I guess we're going to focus on the misogynistic aspects of dating first and what would create misandrous. But I mean, I was going to ask you guys, have you ever had a case where like you're just like, this guy is a full-blown misogynist? Or like you could tell that from a distance, or do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we had go
They
ahead.
fully exist.
Well, I mean, have you followed one and you're like, I don't even have to talk to him and I know like...
He's like every other one. No.
Yeah, I've done surveillance on some of them.
Man.
We had a guest on who is an interesting case because he was a sex addict in recovery.
Oh, interesting.
And we had him on with two, they were trauma specialist therapists. And betrayal trauma. That was what it was. So it was our first episode where we were like, okay, we're really serious. We're into this one.
Yeah. Ooh, I want to listen to this episode.
It was a lot. And he very much was open about how he was in recovery, and there was like a 12-step program, and he knew that what he did was wrong. He had cheated on his wife physically, I think 25 times, he said, or with 23 or 25 women.
28, something like that.
It was one in the 20s. And then also he was constantly trying to get women to send him stuff online and sending money. He spent all their money. It was a lot. But one of the things he said at the beginning was, he said, I didn't see women as equal human beings until 2022. And I was like, let me check my watch. That's
just today. It's New Year's Day.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm relearning how to do that. And I it was nice to hear his recovery journey, but I also was just like, we're gonna flag
Scary.
that.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary to be like, oh, I'm sitting at a table with the person who views me as an
Less
object.
of a human.
Oh no, yeah. I worked at an advertising agency where they had like a diversity board, and there were like a lot of guys on it. And one guy was like talking about this women's like month or whatever, and he's like, yeah, like I realized like what women go through when I got married and had daughters. And I was like, have you ever had a friend that's a girl and like spoken to her and like she's been like, I've had a rough week, you know? Like it's crazy that some men only see women as real people when they're extensions of themselves.
Well, but that's so many things. You'll hear people be like, well, I hated gay people, but then I had a neighbor who was gay and they brought me a casserole. And it's like,
Yeah.
Oh no, almost like gay people are like everyone else. It's like so, but I feel like a lot of people have that where they truly need the
And
experience.
a personal connection.
Or you'll hear their political views and they'll say something that's like, well, I believe this because when I was growing up, I had this experience. And I'm like, well, you're not the only person on earth. So that is hard, I know, for you to understand. But Because I feel like most views I have are based on other people's stories because I haven't experienced everything.
That's why politicians are always like, I met 10-year-old Timmy.
Yeah.
Because they want you to have that. And I always think it's so funny because I'm like, this is such a formula. But then if they're really good at what they do, you're like, Timmy.
Oh my God.
But it is
he
a little.
deserves health care.
How our brains work. It's fun. One thing we do try to say, yes, a lot of times men do yucky things specifically to women. But every episode, we're always like, send us stories that are not heterosexual relationships where a cis white man is being a dick.
Yeah.
We know that that's going to happen, and it does happen, but we're anti-dogfish. We're anti-bad guys.
Yeah.
And it's hard, and we haven't had a lot of men who want to come on and tell their stories. We had one, but his sister told the story because he was too embarrassed.
Wow.
Do we want to,
Wait,
I would love to.
He was
so
the
interesting.
dogfish?
Yeah, the girl he was with was the one who literally, she was like texting him from her other wedding. Like, it was crazy.
Wow. So he got.
Okay,
He got
yeah.
dogfish. But
Man.
we talk a lot about how, we don't really give. Misandry often turns men off to sharing their
Emotions
weakness
and vulnerability.
emotions, and we don't
Yeah.
want that to happen.
I would
Well,
say
because there's an expectation for men that they typically have to have this macho kind of persona, and a lot of men are afraid of showing that emotion because they, dudes when they're with other dudes, like, oh, you're a pussy or whatever.
Yeah.
They might say something that's like derogatory
pussies are
towards them just for
strong.
having those emotions. So a lot of men feel like they can't, and that's why I
Right.
feel like a lot of men don't come forward. But I do get a lot of male clients as a private investigator because they know that I can't tell anybody, but men secretly really want to know. But when it comes to talking on the podcast, we haven't gotten a lot of men coming forward, which is really interesting to me. I thought we'd get way more.
That's so interesting. No, that's really, that's fascinating.
I would think that that's not because of misandry. That's because of misogyny.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
But no, yeah.
Wait. Okay, say more.
Because I mean, men not being able to be emotional is not because of women. I mean, women can make fun of dudes who are emotional, but it's other dudes who are like, why are you crying? Like, man up.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's misogyny that's really holding these men back from expressing themselves, and they've projected it onto women instead of taking a look in the mirror. And it is unfortunate because there are probably a lot of guys who would love to share these stories that they have, but they're worried about how other people think, and that is a product of misogyny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't help anybody.
It really does not. But so I identify as a misandrist a bit ironically, but that's only because I'm a lesbian and I feel no, it's because I don't like a lot of men. But
Well, I think I forget who I was talking to the other day, but we were talking about how I think there's this. I was talking about how I know so many women who's like, my husband won't stop golfing and it's ruining our life. And I was like, no, what? Like, what is going on? And then I went on TikTok and there was all these women who were making these comedy videos. That's like,
Golfing
my husband or my boyfriend missed our anniversary because he wanted to go golfing with the boys, or me when my husband skips our date night to go golfing with the boy. And I was like, what is this? This is so bizarre. And I was talking to someone about it, and they were just like, I do think, and of course this is a generalization. I'm sure there are I know many straight happy couples. I'm not saying it's all straight couples, but I was like, I think there is a lot of men who are misogynistic, but they get married because they're straight, and so they're attracted to their wife, and but they don't like women. You know what I mean? So it's like they are still misogynistic, but they're married, and their number one partner is a woman, but they don't like women. So when it comes to spending time, they're wanting to always go with the boys and wanting to do all this stuff, and it creates this very weird dynamic where it's you're married to a woman, but you don't respect women and you don't like women, but you're married to one, so that makes you. Because my partner, we're besties. We want to go do everything together and hang out. And of course, I have straight friends too, where their partner is their best friend. They love hanging out, whatever. But I think there are men who hate women, but are married to one and have to deal with that. And so they go, and the woman is is it me? And it's no, you just are dating a misogynist.
Yeah.
Not all men who golf, by the way, are misogynistic.
No.
I'm just saying, it is bizarre. Why would you want to miss your 1-year anniversary to go hang out with a bunch of dudes and shit on your wives?
Yeah,
but they do.
The running joke of I know that's the other thing. It's
What'd you say?
What are they doing?
Because they're not golfing.
Oh yeah.
That's the PI coming in, being like,
I'm really gullible. I said they're golfing every day. I've
they
never
just
even
love
thought.
their friends. They're just good pals.
Wait, I do want to ask, what is the craziest excuse? Okay, so you've gotten a client and they're like, follow my husband. And what is the craziest excuse that the husband has given for like what they're doing? Or like they're like, I'm biking, I'm golfing, but they're actually doing something else, like that you observed.
Oh, they go to church.
Oh my God.
Always church. I'm going to the church. I'm going to do a volunteer thing for the church. I'm doing this for the church. Everything's for the church. They use that so much.
Wow. Hello, everybody. It's Kendahl, and I am here to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by the lovely Zocdoc. I have seen many a doctor in my day, and most of them have been god-awful. Last year, I went to my doctor and I said, ma'am, there is nothing wrong with gaining weight, but I have gained like 80 pounds in the last couple months, and I'm worried that I'm having a health issue. If not, that's great. I just want to double check. She says, well, what are you eating every day? What did you eat yesterday, for example? I told her what I ate the day before. It was a very normal, nutritious, balanced day. And she goes, Kendahl, I figured it out. So you had a bagel yesterday. Bagels are like the secret killer. Like, that is why you're gaining weight. And I said, ma'am, no, I'm not. I insisted I get blood work done. And it turns out I had a thyroid issue. So she was like, I'm so sorry. It certainly was a thyroid issue. So we're going to have to figure that out. And I still have bagels. And guess what? My health is fine. Bagels are great. Anyways, I just wish I'd had a bunch of reviews about this woman of people being like, she's going to blame your serious health issues on bagels. She hates bagels. This woman is so afraid of bagels. Someone give this woman a damn bagel. So I know how hard it is to find a doctor. That's why I use Zocdoc. Zocdoc is a free app where you can find amazing doctors and book appointments online. We're talking about booking appointments with thousands of top-rated, patient-reviewed doctors and specialists. You can filter specifically for ones who take your insurance, are located near you, and treat almost any condition under the sun. I use Zocdoc, and it makes taking care of my health so much easier, and I just frickin' adore it. Go to Zocdoc.com/BCC and download the Zocdoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/BCC. Zocdoc.com/BCC.
Yeah. So my client's husband, she said she didn't feel like she had any reason to suspect that anything was going on, but there was something that was inspiring her to want to know more.
She's calling
So
a
she-
PI.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so she wants to call a PI, and he was just fishing all the time. She's like, he just goes fishing all the time. I just wanted to know, like, maybe what he's doing. And sure enough, like,
She's like, we've never caught fish. He's never caught a fish.
Yeah, I said that
and
too. I was like, he must be the worst fisherman. He never comes back with anything.
He's going to Costco and get a bunch of fish after. He's like, look.
It's just for the sport. He throws them back.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's always an excuse.
But no, he was picking up a woman and taking her out on the boat so they can do the nasty. And they were hooking up out on his boat early in the morning, and then he would go back home like nothing ever happened. By like 11 a.m. he's home, and like that's
Can I
it.
just
It's
also
wild.
add a fun side note? Mackenzie, I don't want to spoil this for it's my favorite part of the story. Was watching them from the marina, which is a little cafe there was, and she's filming them. And the waitress was like,
so the waitress, yeah, so the waitress saw me videotaping out into the water, and she could see like what was going on.
Right.
Like, I didn't take a rocket surgeon, right? And she was like,
it was the boat
like,
was
I guess she
rocking.
thought I was like some kind of pervert. Like, if the boats are rocking, don't come a knocking.
Yeah.
And so she's like not wanting to serve me. Like, she is like, I can't believe, like, you need to mind your, like, she thinks I'm just like videotaping like some
voyeur.
kind of voyeur.
Yeah.
Then the manager comes over of the cafe. He's a dude, and he comes over and he's like, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. And I'm like, hey, listen, buddy, if I give you this money right here, and I gave him 2 20s, and I was like, can I have extra pancake, like extra
You
syrup
also
for my
you turned
pancakes?
it on. You
And
bat
he's
your
like-
eyelashes. You're like, I won't tell if you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, carry on.
Yeah.
Like, it was like he thought I was he totally thought I was perving out, like just like being voyeuristic towards these people that were just like making me up on the boat. And like,
are
he
you
was like,
allowed
"All
to
right,
say I'm a PI, or is that a no?
It depends on like if I need them to. It depends on the case. Like if I
Okay.
need them to let me do. But in this case, I just like tossed him 220s, and he thought I was just like a perv.
I bet he
And
loved
it's,
it.
Like it's fine.
The thing is there's multiple perverts in this situation. So to get mad at only one group, like there's also people having sex in public, which is objectively perverted. But I mean, like in broad, I also want to commend that woman. I mean, they're both doing horrible things. Sex in broad daylight on a boat in the morning.
It does not sound comfortable.
Like you're.
Well, this is what I don't understand. I'm like, I would never cheat on my girlfriend for many reasons, but one of them is I don't have time. I don't understand how these people do this. I'm like, you are like a deadbeat husband, and yet you're up at 4 a.m. pretending to go on a fishing trip.
Just for a blowjob on a fishing boat? Like, it's not worth it.
It's wild. Or like when people be like, oh, he had another family. I'm like, I'm not having one kid because it's so much work. You have 8 and you're keeping it secrets and you're going to all these shows. I'm like, I guess in a way I have to commend you.
Sometimes I wish it's like, what could you do with that skill? Like, you
Yes.
could run a really successful nonprofit. Like, why can't we put that energy into something beautiful?
And
if you're
instead
such
everyone
a good
hates
coordinator?
you. Right. Such a good coordinator. You could be a producer on a
Yes.
movie.
Yeah.
You could do so many things.
Should we start a rehabilitation program for really good dogfish?
Let's take this energy and put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. There's so much more he could be doing on a boat in the morning outside.
I don't get the sex. The
thing
You
is,
don't get the sex.
I don't get sex. I'm like, I like to have sex just as much as the next guy, but I'm not. I mean, and I understand there are sex addicts, so this isn't. But this is a lot of people. Their obsession. Like I was talking about this the other day. How I'll watch online. It'll come up on my TikTok For You page. People who are waiting till marriage, who are going to have sex after their wedding night.
Yeah.
And
That's so scary to me.
the way
Respect
they
everything,
talk about
but-
sex, I'm like, you gotta calm down. It is not gonna be that good.
You're gonna be
They're like
surprised.
60. These are like people who are really religious, pretty, modest, and they're like 16 more days till I can fuck my husband. And I'm like, God, calm down.
Yeah.
I've never been that excited to have sex before in my life. And I
know.
like to have sex, but that's insane.
I just like, there's so much pressure on that too. And it's just like, it can't, I don't know.
Oh,
it
yeah.
can't be good.
No.
But I respect it. and
Sure. Get
to each
excited
their
if you
own.
wanna
Have
get
fun.
Yeah.
Just do some research before and just like be realistic. Ugh. Oh my God. Now you have me thinking about the first time I had sex. It was in high school. And he like, the song, I Just Had Sex.
Yeah.
He like played it after and like high-fived me. Shout out. He just got married. Sweet boy.
God.
Sweet boy.
I lost my virginity to the movie White Chicks.
What? Romantic.
Very
was it like
romantic.
da-na-na-na-na-na?
Yeah.
Great movie too, by the way.
It's a little on the nose, Kendahl.
I know it was a
Hey.
little on the nose, wasn't it? But it was, and I always, anytime I'll see the clips of that movie, I remember my
think of
first
it.
time. How
And
beautiful it was.
my first time.
This is fun. I love that we
People
got here.
really hate this because this is also part of my stand-up. I lost my virginity the day Michael Jackson died.
Okay.
So everyone knows where they were when I got laid for the first
Wow.
time.
You know it was the exact hour?
No.
I know where I was. I was in Baltimore at a nail salon on a trip with my camp. That's crazy.
You know
and
where
I
I
know
was?
too.
You were pretending to have an orgasm. I
I was.
assume.
Yeah.
I was at a church camp with my back on some gravel.
I was
And
getting
a
out of
guy
acting
who went
camp.
to LSU. What?
My mom was picking me up from theater camp. I don't know if this is the exact hour, but she said Michael Jackson died as I walked out of the.
Oh, I thought you were saying when you lost your virginity. I was going to be
No.
like Jewish camp.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I was at camp as well. Where were you when Michael Jackson died?
Or when you lost your virginity, whichever you choose to answer.
Whichever's easiest to deal with.
Yeah.
Definitely Michael Jackson, and I have no idea. Okay.
She's like, I plead the fifth. That's fair. That's fair.
That is so funny. But yeah, I'm always like, you're doing all of this just to have sex? Like you're going to ruin your life. And I assume most of the time it's like a sex addiction, which is very unfortunate and sad. But I think some people though just
I think it's a
wanna have
power thing.
sex.
I think it's a power
yes,
thing.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
But I will tell you a funny story, just real quick about my husband. Like I'll try to make this as quick as possible.
No,
but
go ahead.
whenever I
You're good.
started dating after my first divorce, I started dating, and my husband was like the very first guy that I was like, screw this. I'm just going to treat everybody the way that I've been treated. So he would text me good morning, and I'd wait 3 days and be like, oh, what's up? You know, like I didn't want to give him the time of day because I didn't realize he was actually the good one.
Yeah.
And so then he came over one night, and I didn't want anything to do with him until like we fell asleep together at my house. He was just over like watching a movie, like literally nothing happened. And I like kind of like accidentally felt like some things, and I was like, is that a friggin' Red Bull in your pocket? And so like, and then after that, like I never, like I was always like, hi, what are you doing, where are you at? Like it was, and then the rest is history. Like I wanted everything to do with him after that moment.
Oh, because he is am I understanding this correctly?
That's
Because he's
we need the visual. This is gonna be on
He had a
YouTube.
boner, I think.
oh
That's so.
Well, yeah,
It was-
like
He loves
it
it,
makes
you
me
tell the
feel bad,
story.
but that's the reason that I started dating my husband. He'll
Yeah.
tell you is because he had a nice gift for me.
yeah.
Oh, I understand. That is so, I was, wait a minute. I said, so he has a Red Bull. Do you really like Red Bull?
And she was tired.
And you were tired and you said, he's going to give me that Red Bull one day.
Sorry.
We're too literal. We said,
Thinking like I just remember thinking there's no way that's possible. And
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like,
Oh my
oh
God.
my
wow.
God.
That's a fun. I don't know if that ties into this, but I always feel a little like I get it, but I also feel bad. They can't control
Well,
it.
I feel bad because like we always say that like guys look at girls and they're like, oh, and they objectify women sometimes, and like I totally objectified my husband.
Oh.
You said I'm part of the problem.
me.
In some ways, it's like I mean, equality is that we all suck.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. But it's interesting.
Yeah. That was exactly what I wanted to know about the mistake. That's so
wanted to know
interesting.
that about her
no, well, that I
husband.
want to know. I bet he does love that you tell that story. So you've pulled up some wild dating stories.
Yes.
And I would love to hear some of them.
So we're gonna read some misogynistic dating stories, and we can riff
scared.
forever on these. And I'm gonna read the first one. So this will make us misandrous if you're not already. But so this is called "Am I the asshole for getting disgusted by my wife while she was having a panic attack?" I, 30 male, am married to this girl named Angela, 33 female.
I'm sorry, just to interrupt. Why do they always say their ages? I'm like, I don't care how old you are.
Yeah.
It does. I feel like the age matters when like the guy's like 40 and the girl's like 17.
Oh, sure.
And they're
Okay,
like,
yeah,
am I
that's
a
true.
creep? And you're like,
yes.
Yeah. Say no more.
Yeah,
First
you
sentence.
are.
Where are these
100%.
from? Did you have these like? You found these on?
yes, I did.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Okay.
Imagine you're like, these are family members. They said
I,
these
really,
are-
I just really need help.
So I, 30 male, am married to this girl named Angela, 33 female.
this girl.
Though we just call her Angie. Angie was my upperclassman in college. She is the cutest, sexiest girl on the planet, and I am madly in love with her. We are a rather unconventional couple. Angie and I each value our privacy a lot, so even though we're married, we live in separate apartments. This is called living apart together, or LAT. Angie has endured years of sexual harassment at her workplace. This has left a devastating impression on her. She used to be so tomboyish and tough. She's an expert in martial arts, and she's been practicing martial arts ever since she was 8 years old, and I always joke that she could beat my ass up. But nowadays, she is a nervous wreck. She cries at least once every single day, and I'm carrying her through therapy. Anyway, this past July, I was visiting Angela at her apartment. Our state was going through a heat wave at the time, and as a result, it was so hot and humid, and her apartment doesn't have air conditioning. Eventually, she told me that the heat was unbearable, and she took her shirt off and stripped down to nothing but her bra and short shorts. For the past few years, Angela has had a problem with getting undressed due to her past sexual harassment. Last year, she even had a panic attack at a clothing store after she took her clothes off in the changing room. For this reason, I warned Angie that she was making a big mistake when she took her shirt off while I was visiting her apartment. She just laughed at me and told me that she would be fine. Angela started sweating heavily within a few minutes of her taking her shirt off, and as I predicted, after a few hours, Angela began to panic. She started crying, and pretty soon she was so scared that she couldn't even stand anymore. She collapsed onto her knees, and she was on the ground crying hysterically and clutching her chest. She kept saying stuff like, "I don't want to die," and other things that indicated to me that she was scared out of her mind. She crawled towards her shirt and tried grabbing it, but at this point, I was infuriated with her. So I grabbed her shirt and threw it across the room and forced Angela to remain shirtless. Eventually, she grabbed my leg and hugged me tightly. I was disgusted by her, not just because she ignored my warnings, but because she was sweating so much, and her whole apartment smelled like her sweats. She was also crying on my leg and covering up with her tears. She hugged me for a while, and then I shoved her away. I told her...
This is like abusive. This is
I
not
know.
good.
I told her that it was time for me to head back home, and she cried harder and begged me to not leave her. She started screaming about how she was going to be all alone and how she was so scared, yet I did leave her. Outside of her apartment, while I was waiting for the elevator, I could hear her screaming and crying.
Oh my God.
This is a safety
And he asked,
issue.
am I the asshole after this?
Here's the thing. That is the most bizarre. Why would you put that online? What are you doing?
Yeah.
But also, like, I mean, honestly, at first, I thought what he was. I don't know. I thought what he was going to say is like, I'm feeling like less attracted to her because it's so hot. And I was like, I get that. When it is hot,
Don't touch me. I'm not touching you.
Don't touch me. But it felt like he really went down a dark road near the end. I guess if he was like, I'm a little frustrated because I feel like she's not taking her mental health seriously and it's straining me.
Yeah.
That's a valid frustration, but he seemed like he was so angry that he wanted her to be more upset, which feels very disturbing to me.
Yeah.
No, exactly. I was going to tie in the misandry, misogynistic aspect of this. The misogyny is like, there's men at her workplace bothering her, and it's affecting her so deeply. And he's like annoyed that she's not handling it better.
Sure.
Yeah. But I also just wanted to discuss this because it was like an obvious case of like misogyny. And what are your guys' thoughts on this?
Oh, I have a lot.
Very sad. I'm sorry.
I know. That was heavy. Do you want to start? You want me to jump in?
Well, I feel like it's almost like he feels bad for feeling the way that he feels, but also like
He did nothing
you can't
for her.
help it how you feel, but like also don't just like. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. To be honest.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely had like experience with the whole mental health thing where it's like you can't fix somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
they have to wanna help
that's real.
themselves. Yeah.
But also like this story specifically, first of all, the way he wrote it, if he really did write it, it's like you had too much fun writing this. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't like this guy, but that's just what I can assume from the writing. But I feel like, yeah, that sounded like call her mom, call her family, call somebody in
Yeah.
that scenario. I guess I'm not in the relationship, but it just feels like that was an extreme case where he shouldn't have just left her. But in terms of mental health, especially when it's to do with stuff that predominantly women deal with, body stuff, sexual assault, not just women, but a lot of times, I think a lot of men expect women to be their mom. And then when they break down, the men are like, what the heck? Like, and I also will say I've seen it reverse where I've seen women be like, my husband is showing weakness and
I don't like that.
I don't like that. That's not what he's supposed to do. We all just, I don't know why I wish we were more accepting of each other's lows.
That's what I think there's so many, I've known people who've gone through this where it's like, one of the people in the relationship is the stable person in that relationship, and the other person needs a lot of help, and the other person's really accommodating and tries to help, but then something happened, and they will have had a long relationship, and then the stable person has a family member pass away. The stable person has something else go on with them, like they're in a car crash, whatever, and I've seen it happen multiple times. The relationship ends. It cannot take the stable person going through, and I think it's really I've had friends before where I've been like, you gotta get into therapy because you have to leave space for your partner to have emotions, and I've seen that with any person because that's just so hard to be that person. And there has to be, like, when my dad passed away last year, and I feel like for 6 months I was a good partner. I got up, went to work, but I was not at 100% at all. And there were some days where I was like, I can't move up, I'm too sad, I can't move off my bed. And it's like, my partner never made me feel like bad about that. And they were definitely picking up the slack. And then there's been times where they go through a hard time and I pick up the slack and I'm like, I'm doing all the chores, I'm doing all the stuff, and it's fine and I'll take care of it. But if you're just having to be that strong person 24/7, that's hard. I think with this scenario,
this one's
I think it's
feel
the
for
way
Angie.
I think Angie, poor Angie, I do feel like it feels, because, so can you did he say, he worded it, I'm not attracted to her. Is that what he said?
Because she was sweaty.
Yeah, because
Right.
she was sweaty.
But
And
what is it titled?
Am I the asshole for getting disgusted? By my wife.
That's what it was.
Having a
that
panic
feels
attack.
really weird to me, because I'm like, I don't know if what you're feeling is disgust, but if it is, that's a whole other can of worms, where I'm like, that is really misogynistic of like, I don't know. I've been with my partner for years, and I feel
ever
like
felt disgusted
never,
by them?
never. But also, like, we've seen. I've had rashes on my butthole.
Okay.
They've had to like,
And that's
I'm like, the thought of being like, are you grossed out by me now? Is like laughable. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not thinking about you. I'm not like I'm not trying to help assist you in this medical thing, or like when you're really upset, I'm not looking at you being like, this isn't really that hot. It's like, that's crazy. Like, that's
Yeah.
insane. And so I do feel like in a moment like this, you can be frustrated, you could be annoyed, you could feel less patient. Not this, I think he handled it really badly. But it's like the thought of you equating this with any form of attraction feels so bizarre. Where
Also,
I'm like, why
that's
would you be attracted to me right now? I'm
But that's-
Well, he
crying.
obviously
part of
knows
the-
there's a problem because he wrote it. He's like, he knows there's a problem.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
not writing it.
But it's also misogynist for him to be like, you're disgusting. You're not hot and perfect and put
Right.
together.
Yeah, and the thing is that's also crazy is that they live apart. So like it's not even like they have that day-to-day sort of, annoying
Annoyance.
interactions. They can leave. And he did say that she was the cutest, sexiest girl on the planet. So he's like, I have a beautiful wife in a separate house so I can calmly collect myself. But then when she needs me and we're all going through a heat wave, I just can't stand it.
Also, upperclassman, did he say? Is he a professor of
Angie
some
was
kind?
my upperclassman in college.
I think they.
Or she was older?
Older,
I think
yeah.
she
Oh, I
was
missed-
probably a senior and
See,
he
that's
was
why
maybe
we
younger.
needed those ages.
Yeah.
And
You
I
You
didn't
were right.
even remember
and
them.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
See, and that was on me.
I heard
actually.
upperclassman. I was like, is this that did frame it a little
Yeah.
bit. So,
But
okay.
also, I would like to add, when I am hot, like everything is out the window. Like, I mean, when I get like hot and I try on clothes, I like lose my mind. I actually my mom's not a good person, but when she went through menopause, I was a dick, and I really wish I could take that back.
Because you were like, that heat wave was no joke.
Dude, going through anything with like heat, and so I feel for this woman so
We all need
completely.
to come to Tampa with you. and
Ooh.
Build a backbone to the humidity.
I went
Good
to
luck.
Oh my god.
I went to a wedding in Florida, and I could not believe.
Hair
I
everywhere.
was like, this. First of all,
Yeah.
I look terrible, but I'm like, whatever. I'm not getting married today. I'm like, this, and she looked gorgeous. I could not tell, but I'm like, if I was getting married in Florida, I would be sobbing. Like,
Yeah.
I would be sweating so much. She's in this
Awful.
huge dress. She's
well, no
dancing.
one would know you're sobbing because you'd be sweating.
Sweating,
So
yeah.
much.
And I was like, how do people do this? And I asked my girlfriend, because she's from Florida, and she was like, we just swam all the time. Like, we swam all the time. Like, we live next to the beach, and you would, like, after school, just go into the ocean. And I'm like, wow,
Sounds
what an
kinda nice.
inconvenient. I mean, it's nice. But I'm
Unless
like,
it's
what if you
out
have
of
chores
necessity.
to do?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Eugh. All right, we love our air conditioning,
Yes.
and I hope she gets air conditioning and
help
some
and a
more
new
help
boyfriend.
and some
Yeah.
support system.
Because I understand, I think, too, even just that he described her, I have the cutest, sexiest wife in the I'm like, yeah, that's nice, I guess, but I am like, if you were to be like, describe your girlfriend in 3 words. I mean, of course they're beautiful, but I don't think they'd be the first. I wouldn't be like hot, sexy, nice. You know, it's so
Yeah.
crazy.
Little tiny, put her in my pocket. Yeah, that's what everybody
Is it
wants.
misogynistic to have like these are normal, like these are natural feelings to like having disgust for someone for a moment is like that's kind of a natural feeling. Like are you a misogynist for like
No,
act-
but
to,
I.
like,
Oh,
you know what I
sorry.
mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. I think you're right, but I think this specifically. I think there is a. I think if you view someone, and I guess I would have to know more about this man
Yeah.
to know. But I
I'm
think
sure
if
he'd love to tell us.
I know. I feel like we could comment and ask, to be honest, and he'd respond right away. I think if you are dating a person who you objectify, who you're like married to or you're with, and so much of who they are to you is based on their body and who they are, when they then, because I felt like I've gone on dates with someone, like I had a partner in the past who really struggled with mental health. And I've struggled. It's not like I've struggled with mental health. It's like totally, of course, good to talk about and totally fine and normal. But they were not handling it well. And like that was hard on me at that time
that's
to deal with.
fair.
And that was like I guess unattractive is the wrong word.
Yeah.
But I think just this energy of like, woe is me, I can't do anything, and I can't fix any of my issues, and I'm not putting any effort into fixing my problems, and I'm just kind of wallowing in this.
I don't know that it's discussed. It's maybe like you're kind of lacking respect for the way
what
you
I want as
handle
in a
it.
partner, which I think is totally normal. But I did not see them as, I wasn't like, I'm now unattracted to you, because I think it's like, you are not only to me being attractive. So I think sometimes like you'll see husbands and wives, like it happens both ways, but like their partner of 30 years gains a lot of weight or whatever, and then they break up, and it's like, that feels so insane to me, because like
That's not what it's about.
my partner is so much more than that to me. But if you are a person who is really misogynistic and you view women as objects, when they do have a moment of like weakness, or like you said, it does sometimes go both ways. But I think once again, that's misogyny too. If like you're breaking up with a man because they showed emotion, that's also misogyny. Like it's the same thing. But I think it's like, if you view someone as just an object, and then that cracks a little bit, it's really easy to all of a sudden lose all of you're suddenly like, disgust is such a strong word, to fully have disgust for your wife. Like, this is his wife.
It's hard to come back from that.
Yeah. Have you ever had a client where they express like pure disgust for their partner or someone initially, and you're trying?
Oh, sorry. Go
Like
ahead.
vengeance, like they're coming at it from that angle.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I was gonna mention was, I have a lot of women who contact me about a cheating spouse, and many of them, it is right after they've had a baby, because their body is just, a lot of them use the word destroyed. So they say, my body is destroyed, and now he's lost interest. And that's a lot of clients that I get. Or like you mentioned, like they're getting older, they're starting to gain a little bit of weight or whatever it is. And the women that the men usually cheat on them with are much younger, with tighter bodies, or just whatever the case is. And so it lends to really adding a level of self-conscious that you didn't realize was there before, because you thought this was someone who was going to love you till death. You know?
Yeah.
And
It stresses me out.
I do have a follow-up question. For the men that have approached you, have they ever come with that sort of complaint, that their wife has fallen out of love with them because they've let themselves go?
Very rarely. I've had a couple of cases like that, but mainly the men that I deal with are less concerned about themselves. Like they'll say like casually, like, I know I've let myself go, but I just want to see, but they don't make a big deal out of it. Whereas the women are like, for sure, like my body is just not the same. So I think the men know, but they don't, they're just like, I just don't know if she's cheating, like, you know, and the women are like, she's definitely cheating because my body sucks. So I think it's just a matter of like how men deal with that versus the women, but it's definitely more the women that feel more insecure about their bodies, whereas the men are just like, I've let myself go, but she's hoeing out for sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think about my taste. So I'm bi, but I've only really been dating like more than outside of men this year, and it's been fun. It's also like, obviously it's been fun. I mean, I felt so silly when I first was like going out with women, because I was like, the gay agenda, you don't want to make that whole thing. But I was also like, does everybody know about this option? Because this is great.
I
know. And I was like, I am perpetuating this. But the bi wife energy concept, I know also a lot of the like memes in the bi space or the queer space just come out of like, oh, we're just desperate to have some kind of identity and community.
Yeah.
But that clicked so much. My whole life, I've dated guys who, I don't say this as an insult because it's not, but some people were like, these guys, Hannah, I don't know if they're on your team. Like, I think they're gay. Yeah. And I look back and I don't know what, they can identify however they are. But when I understood the bi-wife energy concept, which I guess I don't even know the explanation is what men that are likely to have the energy of being with a bi woman or bi person.
To me, bi-wife.
How do you define it?
I think to me, I mean, I'm not bisexual, so maybe you probably know better than I.
For me, it's just it makes sense. Like I look back at these guys, and I'm like, I was always so hard on myself for not being attracted to hypermasculinity. And I thought there was something wrong with me. No. And then I was like, oh.
I think they respect you. They feel confident enough in themselves.
That they're like, oh, I'm not gay, but that's cool. Yeah, and so many guys are like, I'm not gay, no homo. And it's like, that to me is so not what I'm attracted to. That's not to say I'm not attracted to some masculinity. I mean,
Channing Tatum? He's the only man. I am a lesbian, Golden Star lesbian, never had sex with a man. Channing Tatum, any day of the week. And my girlfriend knows that. If he walks in.
Is that true?
Yes, swear I'm on God. I swear.
Those dance moves are undeniable.
Why?
I don't know. I just Channing.
He's so sexy.
Don't fight. That's
No,
less
this is-
competition for you.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't want to do anything, but like when you ask a gay guy who's not out yet, who's your celebrity crush, and he's like, God, I really love Britney Spears, and you're like. Okay, all right, and like that's so like Channing Tatum is like the Britney Spears
It's like
of my
the thing
head.
you say. I know he's like the classic hot guy, but have you seen Magic Mike? Anyone?
Oh,
You've
of
got.
course.
Oh my God.
I mean, step
Listen,
up. Back to
Channing
step
Tatum is
up.
hot. My mom is actually gay, and she's been with her partner for like, I don't know, 100 years. And so but my mom will tell you that like she thinks that Fabio with like the long hair, she thinks he is just gorgeous. And I'm like, good Lord, Mom, like what's happened? And like, remember he used to do the butter commercials? Like maybe I'm just
Remember
like,
when he
old.
got hit in the face with a bird?
Fabio did like the butter commercials, and she's like, he is just so gorgeous. And I'm like, Mom, don't you like girls? What are you doing? Is it because he has long hair?
Yeah.
It is like
It's an energy.
It's so interesting.
We're attracted to what we're attracted to, but also I think at least I did. I put a lot of pressure on myself to be attracted to what I think I had to be attracted to.
Yeah.
And I wish
Once
that I
that door
didn't.
opens, it's like a whole new world.
It's a whole new world. Channing Tatum, though, I guess it's an easy universal one.
I have thought though that like there's a lot of things I don't have to think about because I've always dated women. Where it's like I've never had to explain like body image issues. I've never had to explain like the way like I've never had to explain. There's just things you
Being
don't
a woman.
explain. Like, you don't have to explain being a woman, and that is like nice.
That is actually something that I've encountered dating women. I dated this girl who had like a thigh gap, and my thighs rubbed together, and so a lot of the tops of my pants are like destroyed because of the friction. And she held up one of my pairs of pants, and she's like, "What's happening here? What is this?"
girl.
You're like, let me explain.
I would be like, put those down and walk away.
And she's like, why is it rubbed here? And I'm like, look at your legs. Like because your legs don't rub I have to buy new pants sometimes. And so like, and she's like, I didn't even know. Like I don't like how my elbows look in pictures. And I was like,
What?
What are you taking
Shut
photos like
up.
this?
No,
When are your elbows ever in photos?
No, so I had to, she was gorgeous, but I had to explain to her, like, some people have.
Thunder and lightning, baby. Thunder and lightning.
Yeah.
That's
like
like
the Mean
every
Girls
day
scene.
probably with dating a man. I don't know. It's like, do you feel like you have to explain a lot dating men?
Yeah. With your husband, did you have to explain a lot about, like,
Being a woman.
being a woman?
No, my husband gets it.
All right.
Although
Like,
your
the
husband
men
does get.
before, but like the guys before him, I just feel like
That's
they
why he's a
didn't
husband.
care. Like they're like, okay, well, all right, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
weird. Like they just don't get it. But but I'm not someone who would explain myself. Like I'm not. You
Yeah.
know, you don't. I'm not. I don't have time for you.
And there's also something to be said about, we can't expect everything, and this goes across all kinds of relationships
Oh, yeah.
from one person. So it's like, yeah, your friends will understand things about you that your partner won't, and maybe that's okay.
Sure. They don't have
Yeah.
to fill every single
sure.
need.
There's a lot of poly people who will call in and be like, yo, we got it figured out.
I know. I know.
I-
Imagine I'm like, wow, if I was in a polyamorous relationship and they were like, okay, your job. I know this is not how polyamorous relationships
You're like,
work.
everyone has
But
a
everyone's like, your
role.
job is the gift giver. I'm like, well, I don't have to talk to any of you, but I fill the role of gift giving.
Yeah.
And then all
all
I
the
do
love
is shop.
languages are assigned.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. Hey,
That's
maybe
very-
you'll get people that write in and are like, no, this is what I
What
would
we
like
do.
to do.
I'm
It's
sure
whatever you want it to
someone
be.
does that.
Yeah, one of us is on groceries. I do want to read one more story and then get your guys' opinions on it. So, am I the asshole refusing to do housework while my boyfriend goes to work, even though I don't have a job? So, I, 19 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 25 male, for 5 months now, and he's amazing. However,
It always starts that way.
one disagreement we often have is over housework. My boyfriend thinks I should do housework, seeing as how he works 48 hours a week and I'm not employed. I have always refused. We don't live together. We live in separate houses and pay separate rent. I afford rent through my university student loan as well as tutoring and babysitting part-time. So in my opinion, I have no reason to clean his house when I have my own to pay for.
This took a turn.
Yeah, that's not what
I know. My boyfriend thinks it's unfair that I don't really work yet have enough money for rent. In his eyes, I should do household chores for him at his house because he is the breadwinner. The thing is I don't see him as the breadwinner. He doesn't pay for my rent. I do. We aren't married, and I'm still in education. I can't tell if I'm being unreasonable. I cook for him and occasionally help with chores, but I refuse to be a full-time maid for him. Then again, he works so hard, whereas I only work a few hours a week. Am I the asshole?
But she goes to school. That's
So this is a total curveball, because I would have been like, if you do not have a job and you're at home, like you should, but then it's like we live in separate houses. They're not even like together.
Oh, yeah. That's why. Yeah, because I always talk about, like, my girlfriend and I are always like, one day one of us will just work and the other one won't. Like, we would love to have that. But we're always like, whoever's not working, there's going to be a
You're
lot
working.
of you're going to be working. Like, I should come home to some really nice dinners and the house should be clean. So I'm like, yeah, because that is, like, what you're adding to the home. And that doesn't have to do with gender. But, yeah, first of all, you said she's a student. I'm like, that's your job.
doing something.
No, exactly. Has your husband, as the one person married here,
we have so many. We just
Give
want to
us
ask
your
Mary
job.
a question.
what do you do?
How's being married?
Yeah. You said that your husband gets it, but in the past, have you? I also guess if we've dated men, have you? But specifically, he's never expected any sort of like household like labor. And this is not about your relationship specifically. I'm trying to ask like
expecting.
Expecting versus, because there's also like, I mean, I like doing some
Same,
of those
I'm
things.
the
Like,
same.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of what works for you. But yeah, the expectation thing from anybody, especially when it's like a gender role that's traditional, can sometimes not be great.
With two women, you have to ask. I do primarily a lot of the cleaning. You know what I mean? Because I love cleaning. Like, and I clean way more than I'm like doing the dust boards. Like, I love to clean. I have OCD.
You can come over anytime.
I love to clean.
need help.
We had to have that conversation. Whereas, like, did you feel like with people, or you, like, when you've dated in the past, they like expect, oh, you'll clean because you're the woman?
Yeah.
Well, my first marriage, I was married to a man with 2 kids. And so I kind of became kind of an instant mom, and I really enjoyed it, but I kind of automatically took on that role and I really loved it. Like, I loved kind of, we both worked, but I would always cook dinner, and I was always, I took care of the kids in the way like their real mom would. Like, I love them like my own.
Yeah.
But now that with my new husband, or not really new, with this current husband, he actually does all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the everything, and but I also work, a lot more, even though I work from home. But he is so willing to just do everything. He allows me to like go spend time with my son. He's like, I'll take care of. He cooks the dinner because I hate cooking anyways.
Yeah,
he loves it, so he cooks, and he's like, go take care of Ryan. Go, give him a bath, do bedtime with him. I'll take care. He cleans up everything, and it's kind of interesting because he is a very masculine man. Like, he is a very strong masculine type, and for him to kind of take on that role as well is really interesting.
It's cool.
But I've never experienced anybody who like expected that from me. But at the same time, I've always been someone who enjoyed serving my family in that way, in that kind of domestic style. So it's always worked out. I've never really had anybody who demanded it, though.
It's a partnership, and it makes sense that in this conversation that this writer, submission, yes,
this manipulate,
this poet, it's a good conversation to have. Like, oh, who should do this? But because of like who's working more or whatever, but it just feels like he's totally disregarding her like life as a student and kind of just assuming that she would do it because.
But on the other hand, like to his defense, also, if this is someone that he's dating, usually typically when you date someone, it's someone that you may lead into marriage with, and if he's not feeling how she maintains her home, he might be envisioning that for his future, and that might be what's discouraging him, not how she currently keeps it, but how he can envision her handling their home going forward.
Well, that could be
probably see that, but it's none of his business otherwise.
Like, maybe she's coming over and like he stays the night, and then she like doesn't help make the bed, doesn't clean it, like.
Well, that could be something too, because you never know. Because I feel like it's like when my girlfriend and I started dating, I was at their house so much to the point where it's like I did feel like I should be like doing the dishes because like I made them, or like
that you want to help in that way.
So I'm like, I guess if like my girlfriend was coming over constantly and like leaving my house, I not even a wreck, but just like things are all over the place. Like every time you come over, I have to clean up. I would be annoyed too. But I guess I would be like, I wouldn't be like, you need to clean because you don't have a job.
Wait.
I would be like, please take care of my home.
No, he wants her to clean his house.
I know, but I'm saying if she's coming over like constantly
time.
and dirty, you know what I mean? Like, cause so maybe she kind of like, they have separate apartments, but he kind of lives there. She lives there.
At that point, you should like say that. Like, my girlfriend's a slob when she comes over, but she refuses to clean.
Right.
You know, I feel like they should have included that if that was like
So they probably didn't.
But it's from
Yeah.
her point of view.
That
So
is
she's
true.
saying like, he's just making me clean. There's the side of this where she could just be like, that's really fucked up. You're making the woman in the relationship clean.
Yeah.
And it's like,
But that would actually be really funny on her part.
I know.
I would like
know.
support her a little bit. I'd be like, you know what?
Use the card if you have to. You don't want to
Yeah,
clean?
you're-
No.
I always feel bad because I'm such a cleaner. Like I really am like such a like when I was little. And I'm not saying I have OCD in like a cute way. Like I really
Not a
do have.
Chloe
I had like
Kardashian
really like
way.
touching everything 6 times type of way. And I've been to therapy, but I have like some germaphobe issues. So I'm really like I'm cleaning everything. Like every night I like vacuum up. Like it's too much. It's like I'm working on it.
Yeah.
But I think in the past I have had tough times with some people I've dated because I've been like, you're doing great for everyone else. The
My
level at
standard-
which I need things
yeah.
cleaned is not your fault, and I'm so sorry, but I can't sleep here, or like things that just are tougher. So sometimes I feel like I probably was someone. They're like, I dated this crazy girl who made me like take my shoes off and take my socks off and wash
Yeah.
them when she got to my house or something.
But they weren't right for you.
I have gone on before I was gay. I went on a date with a guy who he spilled something on his floor. He mopped it up. And then he went downstairs to the lobby and he got those industrial floor cleaners? He got one from the not administration, the fucking
Reception?
concierge.
Concierge.
And he took it up into his apartment and went over it again.
Wow,
Like
very
it was
nice.
Wow.
wasn't clean enough, and it kind of did scare me.
Can I tell
Scared
you?
you?
was it-
Uh-oh.
Was he trying to impress you?
I don't know, but his
bet he
house.
was.
Oh, you know that guy on TikTok who irons his sheets?
Yes.
I do that.
He
The guy who really.
I do.
really.
I do iron my sheets when I.
Wait, I sent that video to my old roommate because I was like, I want this man to like live in our apartment, but I never want to see him.
Yeah.
Like I want him to just live in a closet, come out and like make everything perfect, but without a sound. Like how do I get? If you're listening and you're open to it,
Hire a PI who also
yes,
cleans.
we have to
Right? Exactly.
just sleuth around.
Yeah.
But anyway, the guy irons his sheets.
Yeah, he also ironed his sheets. That was he
that was it.
had to have it. It wasn't necessarily germs because he would lick his fingers when we went out to eat. It was just everything in his house had to be pristine.
I get that.
This is not exactly the topic, but I just feel like I want to make everybody feel a little gross right now.
Do it.
In college, my best friend was hooking up with a guy, and she fell asleep in her room, and then all of a sudden she heard a noise, and she woke up, and this drunk boy was just peeing on her floor. Just peeing on her floor. And then he went back to bed and called her another girl's name.
Okay.
All right, this is a whole new podcast episode. We need to just have a part 2 where we just discuss
Wait,
that.
God.
that is disgusting because I've done that. Again, when I was straight in college, I went to this like frat party and it was a date party. This really nice guy, he was a super nice guy. He let me sleep in his bed. He slept on the couch, but I was wasted. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I pulled down my panties and I peed on his floor. He opens the door, sees me peeing, and he's like, happens to the best of us. And then he
College is college.
and then he closed it and he fell back asleep on the couch. And I was like, oh my God, I bought him a new rug. And he, like months later, found my panties and he was like, hey, do you want these? And he picked
Why did
up.
he find them months later?
I don't know.
He held on to those for a little.
Or was he that messy that they were just like,
I think I threw
Under the
them.
bed.
Like I think they threw them somewhere. But like when the photo, like they were clearly like crusted into position.
Oh my God, Sarah.
So I was like, you can keep them.
like a souvenir?
Yeah, but
Oh my, yeah, no, it's
all right.
it's okay. I mean, that was a nice way for him to handle it. I think I have more issues with the guy calling my friend the wrong name.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
than I do with the
rude.
drunk peeing. It's just
Yeah.
like a cleanliness theme there. That
yeah.
No, I mean, I had a girl over one time who vomited in my room, which was very hard on me. Once again, I've never drank after my own mom. Like I've always been really germ scared. But I was like, oh my God. And it was like middle of the night and she was like, I'll clean it up. And I just said like, I was like, no, I can do it. But I was like, empty gesture, full empty gesture. I do not want to clean this up.
She's like, okay,
and
back to
I just
bed.
kept going. And she was like, no, I'll clean it up. I was like, no, I can do it. And I was like, what am I doing? I was actively just like, why are you stop saying this. And she was like, okay. And then I woke up that morning. She was like, okay, I'm bye. And she left it there. And I like just sat and I like cried in my room because I was like, I don't know what to do.
Oh, that's,
And I did clean it up. But I was like, what? As I was saying it, I was like, stop saying, just let her clean up. What are you doing?
Yeah.
That was less her fault, more me needing to learn how to stick up for myself. So
work through that.
During your days when you work, what is the grossest thing you've seen on the job? Like
As a
someone
PI.
do, like you're watching them and they don't know they're being watched. I know that you said that people will pick wedgies and stuff like that, but is there anything that's been objectively gross to witness?
Oh, they'll poop on the sidewalk, like in bushes. Like they don't care.
Is that happening like all the
Often?
time?
Is it
Not often, but once or twice I've seen that happen. Like twice I've seen somebody poop.
in broad daylight?
Yeah, like
Paint the
this
scene.
one guy, like I had this one guy who like he lived in like a upper class, like a higher income community. He drives a BMW. He leaves the house in the morning in like just like a regular like suit and tie type situation, and he pulls into a Barnes and Noble's like parking lot, parks in the very back where there's like a row of bushes, and then there's like this wall because it's right by like the freeway or whatever. And he gets out of his car. He brushes his teeth with a bottle of water, and he pees and like smokes a cigarette, gets back in his car and like leaves. And
I'm
then
offended because
I've seen another guy who was like leaving the gym, and I think the people that I saw pooping, like where it comes at you pretty hard, like pretty fast.
Yeah,
And I think it
that's
was those because they were like rushing to like find somewhere, and they like squatted and they were like.
at least it
you
was
could see what
that.
they
Like
were
at least it
doing.
wasn't someone like time for my daily afternoon
Yeah.
sidewalk dump. Like
No,
I,
You have to
I think
tell-
it was like people that like really were desperate to like. I don't think they're just like all out here willy nilly just like pooping
okay,
in public.
good. But that is
when you're
gross.
telling your client about the day, do you have to tell, like, are you like, and then they shit on the sidewalk?
So I have to write a surveillance report, right? So like I might, and you don't like, this isn't a situation where you see the like things coming out of their body, right? Like this
Yeah.
is just like you can see what they're doing without seeing what
Oh,
they're
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
And so in my report, I might say something like they appeared to defecate on the sidewalk, and then you like I
it's
just
very
write
diplomatic.
down like exactly what I'm witnessing, but you have to say words like they appeared to be, because in the video you can clearly see what they're doing, but you can't like
Oh my god.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you don't want to say like the poop was coming out, like
Yeah.
weird.
In my my greatest fear is shitting my pants. But not only that, but someone watching me do it. So, like, if I got behind a Barnes & Noble and I was like, at least I'm alone. And then I just look up and I see a blonde hair in a car.
It's
With
like
a
I
camera.
know what you're
Like
doing.
a 2004, like one of those big clunky cameras.
And then
just
she
like,
goes, I'll see you in court with this video.
no! Just go.
Well, it's so funny because people don't know I'm there because my windows are blacked out. So they might look and they'll look around and just see like a car sitting there, and they don't think anything of it. They don't realize anybody's inside of it. And so they'll just like do whatever. It's wild. I've seen like stay-at-home moms like drop their kids off at school and then go give a BJ in a parking lot of Walgreens. Like it's wild.
Honestly, pop off.
Oh my God.
She's not a good, that's wild. That's wild.
Wait, so trying to think. What was the prompt of like you following the person who crapped on the sidewalk? Like what was
their
why were
crime?
you initially tailing them?
Like workers' comp fraud.
Oh, I see.
It's always workers' comp, and it always leads to something
Workers'
else.
comp, liability, car accidents.
People who
stuff like
say
that.
they can't
It's never
work
the cheating
for-
cases where you get someone doing some crazy stuff like
That's
that.
what I
Like,
thought. The wife was like, I think my husband might go shit in the Barnes & Noble parking lot every day.
I would want to know that
I'd wanna
about them.
know.
I would need to know that information, and that would be just because. Oh yeah, I was gonna say I have had diarrhea in a Barnes & Noble, and it's a good place.
Everybody has.
Yeah.
I actually saw a TikTok that was saying,
Isn't that a
there's
thing?
like a smell that Barnes & Noble's elicits. It's similar to, I really saw this, that it's
Yeah.
like Barnes & Noble's, the scent of it makes people have to go to the bathroom. And it's similar to Target, because I always have to shit in Target too. they say fluorescent lighting and something else makes your body. This is
Mackenzie's face right now. She's like she's either terrified or she's like, this explains
so much.
You're like right in front of a fluorescent light. You're like,
oh God. But no, I'm just like, why didn't he go in the Barnes and Noble? Like, why did he go in the parking lot?
Some people have weird stuff about that where they're like, oh, I can't. Like I have friends who are like, oh, if I go on a week vacation, I can only shit in my own bathroom at home. I'm like, you gotta figure that out because you're gonna get hurt.
But it's a step further if you can't shit anywhere but your own home and also in a public
In a parking lot.
if you're ever accused of workers' comp fraud, we know what's going to happen to you.
Well, on that
Could
note,
you imagine though if I actually if that particular case went to court and I'm sitting there in front of a jury of my peers and we're just all watching a video of somebody like taking and they'll be like, he has back injuries, but he's
squatting all
Yeah.
fine.
Oh my God! Like, could you imagine?
Oh God,
That'll get him.
Terrible.
I mean, that's wild. Oh,
you're doing a wall squat. You have powerful quads, sir.
yeah.
I hope at least if he's sitting in court, he goes, shit.
Yeah.
And he loses, just to give a little fun.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
You're the best.
Thank you for having us.
This was so fun. I know. I just feel like this is all the things I ever wanted to talk about. I feel like I just want to have you both back every week and ask questions about crazy stories. You must be so sick of people. Must just all the time be like, "What else has happened? What else?" Like,
No, I went to a new dentist the other day because my tooth broke. He's like, "What's the craziest story?" And I'm like, "You have no idea." Like people, that's the most common question probably. What's your craziest story? And I'm like, "There's so many."
Where to begin?
They're all
People
crazy.
do not realize. You do not realize what people will do when they don't think anybody's watching.
Start a podcast.
And I actually, for 16 years, didn't tell these stories because everybody's like, you need to tell these stories. I'm like, who's going to listen? They're dumb. And then one day I just posted a PI story on Instagram and it blew up. And I was like, really? And so then I started telling my stories and everybody's like, no way. And I'm like, you guys cannot find this entertaining. And sure as hell, these people find it. Y'all think it's
because
crazy.
you know what? I mean, it's just like, look at any reality TV show. If we really think of it, it's like all these famous TV shows are just normal families doing boring. I mean, they have to kind of create drama, nothing. But humans are nosy. We want to know what is going on.
Yeah.
Especially with dating, we can all relate to it.
No, exactly.
And then you're just like,
Yeah.
wow, the things we can do.
It's like
we
there'll be
didn't know.
people I'll see on Facebook, like someone I went to high school with, or like I had 8th grade English with them. I don't care about them in any way. I don't know anything about them. I don't even know their last name.
Yeah.
I'll see they've like deleted their profile picture with their husband.
You're like, I need to know.
5 hours on the computer. I'm like, okay, they've had 2 kids. What is going on? Like, I have to know. And I feel like I'm like, should I just DM this person and be like, you don't remember me, but I need to know what happened to your marriage. Like, did he cheat? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
People are nosy. You're nosy.
Oh, that's one last question. Have you ever gotten a request for someone else's marriage? Like it's just a third party who's interested to see what happened?
Oh yeah, just nosy. Nothing to do with them.
That's a good idea. I'm gonna do it.
Not particularly. Not that I can think of.
Have you ever gotten a request where it's like this person seems a little bit removed from the situation to be asking about it?
You're like, why are you?
Yeah, like
really going
You mean
on
like
here?
has anybody ever asked me to do surveillance and I'm like, why are you asking? Because that's weird.
yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of cases. Well, there was one case I think I talked about already on my social, but it was the guy. A guy wanted to know about his coworker's husband, and I was like, "Why do you want to know?" And it was because he wanted to date her. But they were just like, no. It was the husband wanted to know about the wife's coworker. He thought they were
right.
Like, I was like, why do you want to know? It was a weird story. It was dumb, and they were just coworkers. But I guess he thought they were cheating. I'm not really sure.
Interesting.
Also, sometimes people come to you and they're just like, I want you to find this out so I can go kill them. And you're like, not going to do that one.
Well, I've had people reach out to me and go, this guy cut me off in traffic. Here's his tag. Can you look him up? No, I'm not doing that.
No.
I do send you people I match with on dating apps, though, and I do.
But that's good.
Yeah.
That's safe.
But you do it. You don't go like crazy. You just help me find their LinkedIn and make sure that they look nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like it's. I feel like it. like my FinTuition, my PI intuition, if it feels like something that's just a little bit like where they're just trying to like be vengeful, or it's not really, if there's not like anticipation of any kind of litigation, I kind of try to stay away from it, just because some people just want to know. And I'm like, that's kind of a liability. I don't want to, just so there's been a couple cases where I've gotten information for someone and they have totally gone to like use the information to try and hurt the person. And I just, you gotta be really
be careful. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much. This has been such a treat. And I just appreciate you two so much. This has been so fun.
We love both of you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for, just thank you. This has been so fun. And
where do people find you guys?
Oh, yeah.
So our Dating Detectives Instagram is Dating Detectives Podcast.
I always
And you
forget
can find me at freedom_Barbie.
Amazing.
Okay. And I'm at Hannah Andergram, and it's Hanna.
Amazing.
And then like Anderson, but like and her gram.
Andergram. Yeah.
Pun.
Amazing.
But yeah,
perfect.
Let us know if you need us.
We will. I feel like I'm gonna be like, Sarah, should we do another episode where they tell us a cool story? And Sarah's like, so the podcast can't just be them. I'm like,
I mean, it could
maybe.
be. But then it's their podcast at that point.
I know we just steal your guys' idea, but it's just you. Okay, that's a good idea.
So much fun though. We would love to connect with you guys again.
Come back, especially when Mackenzie's in LA again. We should.
Yes, we have to.
Yeah, for sure.
Please. All right. Well, thank you so much.
I feel like I want to hug.
But we will.
Sorry,
but they don't need to
Mackenzie.
see. This is private. Oh, yay.
all
A virtual hug.
hugging.
Yeah.
Great.
But make sure to rate us 5 stars, review us, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any place you get your podcasts. And we are on YouTube, so make sure to like and subscribe. And let these lovely women know how amazing they did and ask them questions. And their info will be linked in the bio.
Yay.
So go follow them.
Yay! Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.